We'll open the hearing on Senate Bill 224.
All right. Well, good morning, Madam Chair and committee members. It's a beautiful day for a bunch of bills to be heard in committee. My name is Shane Morigeau. Last name is spelled Morigeau. I'm a senator out of Missoula County. I have presented this bill before, but different variation of it. And have had it in this committee before, and so some of you may have even heard it. At one point we got it through the House over to the Senate, where it met its demise, and then this time we finally got it over from the Senate to the House for you guys. Different bill looks a lot different than it has in the past, but we had a pretty good vote with 47 in support and 3 in opposition, with one of them actually tried to change their vote. But we have a pretty strict no change your vote thing over in the Senate, so they weren't able to do so. So, in the past, we have shared at length how the holiday on the second Monday in October isn't always reflective or inclusive of all Montanans, and in many ways harmful to some of those folks, many other Montanans. That said, the Indigenous Peoples Day group, many of them which are here today, has recognized that our focus should be more on Indigenous Peoples Day and what it means and what it actually stands for. So we've shifted away from that and focused on what we can essentially control. So what is Indigenous Peoples Day Montana? It's a day that celebrates the ancestral lineage of all Montanans. It's a day that is shaped and molded by each community and how that community wants to celebrate each other. So this bill gets away from eliminating a holiday and simply gives Montanans the option to celebrate what they prefer on that second Monday in October, which I think I've overwhelmingly heard people appreciate, especially over in our body in the Senate. People like choice, and so that's how I approached it this time. I am really proud of the group that's here with me today. Over the past 2 years, we've met pretty much regularly, basically every other week. We have had hundreds upon hundreds of hours of conversations on how our work must be inclusive and representative of all Montana, in a day that really does focus and celebrate all of us, focus on all of us. Thousands of people across the state had celebrations for Indigenous Peoples Day. So we're simply saying and asking, please recognize the day, something people are doing. And this group that's with me here has worked tirelessly to try and ensure that each community, that the communities that are having celebrations really are folding in more folks to learn more about the ancestral history of all Montanans. So I think really what this bill does is it allows you to look in the mirror and ask yourself, and actually it pushed me to research more of my ancestral lineage and heritage when I was working on it. And I think that's a good thing for all of us to kind of reflect on, who we are as Montanans, where our families come from, and to celebrate that together. And if you don't want to come out and celebrate, your heritage or the heritage of other people, you don't have to, but you're welcome to come out and just celebrate with other people. So it's really a flexible holiday that's really geared towards Montana and making it a Montana Day. So with that, I'll step aside and let the proponents go. Thank you, Ms. Chair.
Thank you, Senator. First proponent.
Madam Chairman and representatives, my name is Ann Barnett, B-A-R.
Can you bring the microphone up to you?
My name is Ann Barnett, B-A-R-N-E-T-T. I'm here by myself. I haven't spoken with any of the other group members, and I'm not a public speaker. This is my first public speech. I'm privileged to be here. I'm certainly privileged to be a Montanan. I'm very white. I checked. I'm a mutt of a mix of European countries. I should say I have no Native family or close friends. But 20 years ago, I was fortunate enough to meet Curly Bear Wagner when he was speaking at Glacier Park Lodge. And I want you to know that I was the very typical white who embarrassed themselves, falling all over myself, apologizing for what our government or maybe my ancestors had done. But he was very kind, and he said to me, "You have the power." I didn't know what he meant. I still don't know what he meant, but maybe this is it. Maybe the point I'm about to bring will be the power, God rest his soul, that he spoke about 20 years ago. Since I was 7 years old, I was reading prolifically and was fascinated with Indigenous history and acquired a huge respect for their honor, for their courageousness, of course, the horrors. But I'm here because I have something to say. I grew up in Virginia. You may hear this. And from 1984 until the year 2000, Virginia celebrated in January Martin Luther King alongside our state holiday. It was a combo. We celebrated Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson. Now, how crazy is that? Just think about that for a minute. Those were very diverse historical individuals. It went very well. The people that wanted to celebrate the old Confederacy had their parades and celebrations, and the rest of us celebrated MLK. I think there were more of us celebrating him. So my point is, if Virginia can do that combo, surely the great state of Montana can celebrate Columbus and whatever parades there may be here for him, along with honoring Indigenous people. So why not? Why would you not vote to pass this bill? If there's any peace in any of your hearts that is discriminatory, get that poison out. And all of you have power. When you're speaking with your constituents, there may be a time you hear something disparaging towards not just the Indigenous, but anyone different. Speak up and say, get that poison out of your heart. So thank you for listening. And I say, since 1492, there was some poem I learned in grade school, we've been celebrating Columbus. So now it's time to celebrate the Indigenous. Columbus discovered the new world that was only new to him. It's time to celebrate the Indigenous people that already lived here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Barnett. Next proponent.
Morning. I have to read off of this today. So, honored chair and esteemed chair, honored chairwoman and esteemed generation representatives. Whew. I feel like I've been here forever. My name is Marcia Small, S-M-A-L-L. I am Northern Cheyenne. I am also called Odatavianavat. It means blue wings, and I was named after my great-great-grandma. They told me she was kind of fiery. So in our ways of thinking, a lot of people's ways of thinking, you kind of take after who you're named after. So I'm a co-founder of Indigenous Peoples Day Montana, and I come from a long line of ranchers. I'm from people who know how to get up each day, greet that day with vim, vigor, intent, grit, if you will. How to do hard days with the work. Every day, every day. So I grew up this way. Every day in our communities, I see a lot of conflict. I'm really tired of seeing conflict. I want to see us move together as a people. It doesn't matter we agree on all things, but we need to move together in good ways. So in the old days, at least where I'm from, you get up, you know, it was almost like who could get up the earliest, who could make that first pot of coffee and be ready, see somebody come down the driveway. you'd have the coffee on and, well, what took you so long to get here, you know? But we would visit each other. We'd visit each other on the creek. We'd visit each other as a people. We get to know each other's stories. It didn't matter your political view, but it mattered who you were, who your people were too. So I believe in Indigenous Peoples Day. I believe it can bring us together. I believe celebrating Columbus Day and Indigenous Peoples Day on the same day will go a long way to healing our communities. It teaches us how to work together. So let's come together as a state and honor all of our histories, all of our ancestral tendrils. All of our people celebrate it. And I'm here to ask you to pass Senate Bill 224, which would recognize the second Monday of each October as a collective holiday. Officially celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day and Columbus Day on the second Monday of each October shows respect, it shows relevance, reciprocity, and responsibility. I urge you to pass SB 224, and thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Ms. Small. Any other proponents in the room?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, my name is Mark Lambrecht. For the record, that's Lambrecht. I'm Director of Government Relations for the Montana Electric Cooperatives Association. We provide electricity service to all 56 counties in the state of Montana through our 25 electric cooperative members. That service includes 6 of the 7 reservations in the state of Montana. We take this relationship that we have with tribal communities very seriously. Many co-ops employ tribal community members and have them as members of their boards of directors. And then also we have a standing tribal relations committee that deals with enhancing our relationships with tribal communities. And that is chaired by a member of the Blackfeet Nation, who is an employee of Glacier Electric Cooperative. And so we think that this bill is incredibly important to recognize the heritage of tribal communities in Montana, and we encourage you to pass it. Thank you. And Madam Chair, with your permission, I have another meeting to attend to. May I be excused?
If there's no questions for Mr. Lambrecht, I think that'll be fine.
Okay,
Thanks for being here. Any other proponents in the room?
Hi, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Jacob Zimmer, Zimmerer. GD of Macarja is Mr. Jacob Zimmer, Tame Ekfolam Guelga, Tame Maconian Akalesh on Alan Gallatin. So I'm speaking the Irish language, day after St. Patrick's Day, which feels fitting. And I'm from the Gallatin Valley. I'm a PhD student in Indigenous and Rural Health at Montana State University. And I've been helping out with Indigenous Peoples Day for this last little bit. So I actually learned the Irish language here in Montana. So I started doing immersions in Butte a few years ago and taking classes actually here in Helena. And just recently I was back in Ireland, and that landscape is really rich with stories. You know, people from America oftentimes go back to Ireland to kind of learn about like all this layered history. Like every place has a story. There's all these place names that are still held in Ireland. And my experience being back there, I've been several times, is that there's the same stories in depth here in Montana. Just like everywhere we go, there's layers of stories in this landscape, and my relationships with Indigenous people here have really added this deep understanding and love of this place. And I see the way that my ancestral stories and language actually just kind of add to this beauty and responsibility I feel to this place. And so Indigenous Peoples Day to me is an opportunity kind of for us all to feel those layers of stories that our people bring with us and be in relationship with one another again. So with that, I really urge you to pass Senate Bill 224. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmer.
Good morning, Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Alyssa Snow, that's ALISSA-SNOW, and I'm here today representing the Blackfeet tribe, the Fort Bound Indian community, and the Chippewa Cree tribe of Rocky Boy. Our state has a rich and diverse culture historically and presently. The Indigenous population in Montana is a permanent and ever-evolving presence. Like yourselves, we are always looking to the future for ourselves and generations to come. But in order to do so effectively and successfully, especially at the policy level, we have to acknowledge and respect our past. Senate Bill 224 is a foundational step in that direction. This effort will assist in improving state-tribal relations, prioritize respect as a foundation to build upon, and is a win for us all. Then, as we work together towards a future that promotes health, prosperity, and the pursuit of happiness, we can simultaneously recognize the past and also move forward into an era of reconciliation. For these reasons, we support Senate Bill 224 with the due pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Snow.
Hello, just swallowed it. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Keaton Sunchild, SUNCHILD, here representing Western Native Voice. Not going to continue to belabor the good points that have been made before me, but we do think it is important to recognize and celebrate the Indigenous history that is an integral part of Montana's history as well, and hope that you keep moving this thing along and get it out to the full floor of the House. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sunchild.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, my name is Carson Taylor, Carson Taylor. I'm a retired mayor and city commissioner from Bozeman, and I'd like to share with you all a little bit of our experience with Indigenous Peoples Day, which we began celebrating in 2016 by virtue of a proclamation that I made. We did this after many meetings with the Native community and with people at Montana State University. And we decided at the time that the purpose of the day would be to celebrate all Indigenous peoples, but also to educate ourselves about local Indigenous cultures. To that end, we celebrated the day primarily with a presentation to the City Commission and a round dance at Montana State University. An example of that would be one presentation about the relationship of Indigenous people to the valley in which we lived, and another went as far out, so to speak, as Indigenous contemporary art across the state of Montana. Since then, the celebration has become an event on Pete's Hill, overlooking the city of Bozeman, often with a teepee and a round dance, speakers and other presentations, and we can count on hundreds of people coming to this event, sometimes even when it's snowing like you can't believe. My experience with the day has been that it's helped draw our community closer. We've learned from both the celebration and education, and we've become closer from planning the events together. We've now celebrated Indigenous Peoples Day 9 times. And the celebrations became meaningful to the point that now we passed an ordinance in 2022 making Indigenous Peoples Day an ordinance rather than a proclamation. I want to add that the day has evolved with the recognition that everyone is Indigenous to somewhere. Part of getting involved in this got me thinking about where my roots are. And I did one of those blood test things to find Scotland, ein wenig Deutsch, and un poco de Español. And that's about as far as I can go with those languages, but it got me started, and I think sharing those cultures amongst all of us is really important and an important part of it. Jacob spoke at our last celebration in Irish and English, and we want to encourage that sharing of culture and roots through this holiday. By making Indigenous Peoples Day and Columbus Day a combined state holiday, I think we're on our way to doing that in a really good way. I expect that many communities across the state will take advantage of this opportunity to increase education and celebration of all cultures to the benefit of the whole community. This would then benefit the entire state as we could reach higher levels of understanding and kinship with one another. Therefore, I urge you to pass the legislation out of committee and to pass the bill in the House. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. How many other proponents do we have in the room? Okay. We still have a bunch online, so if we could move quickly through the rest, that would be great. Thank you.
Sure. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Caitlin Cromwell. That's Cromwell. I live in Billings, and I'm with Northern Plains Resource Council. We are really pleased to support Senate Bill 224. We see the creation of a dual holiday involving both Indigenous Peoples Day and Columbus Day as an opportunity to celebrate the many different histories and backgrounds that we all bring to the table here in Montana. For me, that history is Irish American. I can't outdo the gentleman who spoke the Irish language earlier, but am really proud of that heritage. And my own family came to the US from Ireland 3 generations ago, and we're lucky to go back often. I also really appreciate the chance to learn more about the histories and backgrounds of my Montana neighbors, and think that sharing where we each come from and what brought us here gives us the chance to understand each other better and to be better neighbors ultimately. We would really love to see Montana follow in the footsteps of states like Nebraska and South Dakota in formally recognizing Indigenous Peoples Day and celebrating it alongside Columbus Day. Both are really important parts of our history, and we think we stand to gain by recognizing both of them. So we urge a do pass on this bill, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Cromwell. Could everybody, if they're going to testify as a proponent, stand up and get in line, please? Thank you. Okay. Okay, let's keep it quick, please.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Jasmine Krotkov, Krotkov. I represent Montana Farmers Union, the state's oldest and largest grassroots family farm organization advocating for family farmers, ranchers, and rural communities, and we support Senate Bill 224. Our members believe that the health and prosperity of family farms and rural communities is directly tied to the health and prosperity of humanity at large. From our family farms, we see that our strength is compounded through cooperation with all of those who are stewarding these lands alongside us. All ecosystems, including agricultural ones and cultural ones, gain stability through diversity. Native Americans have cultivated knowledge about this land over centuries, and that knowledge has benefited our modern agriculture in many ways that we want to recognize. We have specific policy at Montana Farmers Union supporting the continued protection, preservation, and conservation of indigenous cultural knowledge and traditional foodways. Because knowledge of wild foods, fruits, plants, medicinal plants, cultivars, ancestral seeds, all of that has informed our farming practices today and may well hold the solutions to problems we face tomorrow. So the family farmers of MFU support creating Indigenous Peoples Day alongside Columbus Day to recognize the interconnectedness of our peoples. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Krotkov.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Crystal Alegria, and my last name is spelled Alegria. I'm excited to testify quickly for the establishment of Indigenous Peoples Day today, a day where all Indigenous people are honored, and a day where we can collectively celebrate our indigeneity, because we are all Indigenous to somewhere. We can celebrate both the people that have stewarded this land for time immemorial to those who tend it today. My people come from Austria, Germany, and England, and I am proud to honor my Indigenous roots and will be happy to have a day where I can focus on my ancestors who came to this country in the 1870s, settling in Wisconsin and Iowa, and then eventually moving to Montana. Indigenous Peoples Day is a time to celebrate our ancestral heritage, whatever that may be. I've seen the community connections that this day can foster represented this past October when towns across Montana celebrated IPD. Communities came together to not only celebrate Indigenous people who have landed on this land, but also those cultures including Irish, like we heard today, German, Scandinavian, that are much more recent immigrants. The IPD celebration we had in Bozeman, as you've heard about before, included hundreds of members of our community coming out on a beautiful fall night to honor their familial heritages. We heard people speak of their ancestors in Crow, Abzaliga, Northern Cheyenne, Lakota, but also in English and Gaelic. It was powerful, and I hope that communities across Montana can experience similar celebrations with the passing of this bill. I encourage you to pass Indigenous Peoples Day so we can, on that day, come together as a state to recognize and validate our collective Indigenous histories. By supporting Senate Bill 224, alongside Columbus Day, we are coming together as a community, as a state community, to recognize and celebrate each other. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Dee Dee Taylor, Taylor, and I've lived in Bozeman for over 30 years. I'm an art historian, retired professor, and founder of an arts nonprofit, Mountain Time Arts, that uses public arts to build bridges between communities. I've been a member of the IPD task force for about 10 years with many people here. And through that, I've gained an understanding of what it means to be Indigenous to a place and to find yourself part of that, and that we are all Indigenous to somewhere, the thrifty Scots. I'm Scottish. As many others, I've come to value and know my own heritage more in the process. So it's in this spirit I asked the committee to pass SB 224, seeks to combine the holiday of IPD with Columbus Day on the second Monday of October. Since IPD began to be celebrated in Bozeman in 2016, it has brought community members of all backgrounds to share their voices. As an art professional, though, I see an increasing interest in contemporary Indigenous Native American arts and education, which a statewide bill for this, law for this, with Columbus Day will continue to build. Seeing how non-natives have embraced IPD, I really realize it is for all of us as Montanans. Joining a celebration of IPD with Columbus Day is important in its symbolism and its potential for progressing us as a people. Thinking about why we create or name special days, why is it important? I've come to realize and think about how we value holidays when they serve a purpose. Independence Day reinforces our founding values. Labor Day recognizes the rights and value of workers. Veterans Day causes us to remember our sacrifices and those we've lost, and so on. So when values evolve to benefit and reflect society and its peoples, holidays can change too. Indigenous Peoples Day and Columbus Day would mean learning from and celebrating all of our cultures. As many have said, the combined message also shows the arc of history. We don't want to erase history. No. We want to put history in context and to bring it to the present. I urge you, therefore, to move this bill out of committee and to pass it into law, and I thank you all for your service to the state.
Thank you. Next.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, good morning. My name is Natalie Wright, that's spelled W-R-I-G-H-T, and I'm here on behalf of the Montana Conservation Voters Education Fund, and I'll keep this pretty brief. We stand in strong support of Senate Bill 224 and are very pleased that it passed the Senate with such flying colors to be here before you now. And one of the reasons I think this bill has seen so much success is because Montanans take pride in preserving the legacies of our ancestors who serve as the foundation of our communities. And this holiday is about doing just that. It's about recognizing people who have been taking care of the place we call home for thousands and thousands of years. So the addition of this holiday is not about erasing history, it is about enriching it. It is about acknowledging our shared heritage and ensuring that all who shaped Montana and who serve, lead, and strengthen our communities today inside and outside of these Capitol walls are paid the respect that they have earned. So for those reasons, I urge your support on this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair Darling, members of the committee, my name is Peter Dudley, spelled D-U-D-L-E-Y, representing Montana Audubon. We stand in strong support of the bill in recognition of the contributions that Indigenous peoples, tribal colleges, tribal fish and game, and Indigenous-led organizations have made to conservation in Montana. And with that, urge it to pass. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Ben Catton, C-A-T-T-O-N. I represent Montana Environmental Information Center. As an environmental organization, MEIC recognizes that Indigenous people are the original stewards of the land and its resources here in Montana. We admire and seek to learn from the stewardship customs that are characteristic to Indigenous cultures across the state. Indigenous peoples across Montana have a long, rich history in this place, and establishing Indigenous Peoples Day is a meaningful step towards celebrating their resilience, histories, and cultures. So we hope that you will pass SB 224. Love to see the shamrock behind Madam Chair's head there, and I think maybe some of the enthusiasm in this room is that we're on the heels of a day where we just had a celebration, good food, good drink. Love to have another one of those in Montana. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, my name is Trent Bolger, T-R-E-N-T-B-O-L-G-E-R. I'm the executive director of Big Sky 55 Plus. We're an organization that is older Montanans that work to find solutions for people of all ages. We obviously rise in support of 224, SB 224. I'm going to be brief. The one thing that comes to mind, other than we have a lot to learn from our Native friends and brothers and sisters, often when I watch you do your work on the House floor, I look up to the Corps of Discovery Meets Indians at Ross's Hole, which is the big mural that Charlie Russell painted on the back of the behind the rostrum. The strength of this bill is it gives a choice. People can celebrate the way they want, and Charlie made a choice. He named the mural the Corps of Discovery Meets Indians, but if you look at it, the Indians are way up in the far ground over to the right. The celebration is about the Indigenous people, right? So I urge you to look up there when you get this to the floor and press the green button. So thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Sam Momeyer, that's M-O-M-E-Y-E-R, and I'm here today on behalf of Planned Parenthood. To keep it short, we also support SB 224 for the reasons previously stated by other proponents. Thank you, and please vote yes on this bill. And Madam Chair, would I be able to be excused to make it to another hearing?
No questions for Representative Schubert?
Madam Chair, just wondering how the Planned Parenthood, how that's related to the bill. Just wondering.
That doesn't need to be related. They're coming in support of the bill. I mean,
I'm just curious what they're being Planned Parenthood, how that relates.
Are you going to ask every person?
What relates?
Yeah.
Planned Parenthood supports this bill. That's how it relates. Is that good enough?
Okay.
Thank you. Next.
Right, thank you.
Madam Chair, members, I'm Henry Seaton, S-E-A-T-O-N. I'm here on behalf of the ACLU of Montana, and we also rise in strong support of Senate Bill 224. I'm just giving a me too. I feel like the people who spoke before me gave very eloquent statements, so we just urge it to pass today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hello, members and everything. My name is Tayton Stafford, T-E-Y-T-O-N-S-T-A-F-F-O-R-D. I go to Arley schools in Arley, Montana, on the Flathead Reservation. I've lived in Montana for about 1 year and 8 months now, and Arley schools has done a good job of teaching me both the good stuff and ugly sides of history. And I feel that this bill is a stepping stone in the right direction in recognizing what we've done and what we can do to face it by adding Indigenous Peoples Day to Columbus Day, given that people don't want to celebrate a day that marks their people's suppression. This affects me because I'm a part of the new generation of people of kids that need to recognize that we can't fix what we've done, but we can definitely prevent it from repeating. and I just want to push you guys to really pass this bill. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good morning. My name is Devlin Stafford, DEVLIN STAFFORD. First, I want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I've been attending Arley High School for a little bit less than 4 years now, and before I attended this high school, I came from somewhere where there was no culture for the Indigenous at all. And I moved here, and it was a total change, culture shock, and it really messed with me. But after spending some time here with a lot of my friends and my teachers and all the people I look up to, I learned that there's a lot of culture and a lot of stuff to learn. You know, it's not just how it looks on the outside, but it's kind of a way of life, how it feels, how they all connect. And it's a whole different feeling from the outside. And I forgot my points. Personal connection. It's really important, and I feel it's really important to everybody to really get this bill passed, SB 224. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Olivia Adams. That's spelled OLIVIAADAMS. I'm an enrolled member of the Blackfeet tribe and a senior at Arley High School. I have lived at Arley my whole life. I am standing here today to talk about why Indigenous Peoples Day should be a state holiday here in Montana. This isn't about adding another day to the calendar, but it's about recognizing the histories and cultures of the Indigenous people who have been here for thousands of years, long before Montana became Montana. Montana has 12 federally recognized tribes, each with deep roots to this land. Those 12 tribes have helped build Montana. For too long, our stories and contributions have been overlooked. Making Indigenous Peoples Day a state holiday would be a very meaningful step in honoring our history and our importance to the state of Montana. Indigenous Peoples Day is a chance to celebrate the resilience and strength of Indigenous communities. Despite facing numerous challenges and injustices, Indigenous people have continued to thrive and contribute to societies in countless ways. This day would be a time to honor those contributions and acknowledge the ongoing efforts to preserve our culture and languages. It would be a day to remember to honor the past, recognize the present, and build a better future for everyone. I and my 16 classmates outside this room support Bill SB 224. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee. My name is Jennifer Gillett, spelled J-I-L-O-T. I am an enrolled member of the Chippewa Cree Tribes of Rocky Boy, Montana. I have been teaching at Arley High School for 10 years now. I've been living on the reservation, on the Flathead Reservation, for 23. I'm here to support my students. Many of them, as I'm sure you saw, were a little nervous coming up here and speaking in front of you guys. And so for them to come up here and speak to you guys the way that they did really means something. That means that this bill really means something to them. We came all the way here from Arley, so I hope you listen to them, and I too support Senate Bill 224. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last one, so I'll really keep this short. Madam Chair, members of the committee, my name is Patrick Kiwaki. Last name spelled Y-A-W-A-K-I-E, co-CEO of Red Medicine LLC, here in support of Senate Bill 224. There has been a great yearning from our non-Indian communities as shared today. Definitely our municipalities and counties and other organizations to learn about tribal communities in the state. We have seen this with greater partnerships and collaborations to showcase Montana tribal nations and communities across the state. Senate Bill 224 is an opportunity to heal our past, to work forward towards a brighter tomorrow. Many of the discriminations and prejudice our communities face is primarily due to the lack of education and understanding of our identities and cultures. With the passing of Senate Bill 224, we can educate and celebrate Montana for peace and prosperity for all. Please support Senate Bill 224 with the due pass. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other in-person proponents? Seeing none, let's go to proponents online. Ms. Kirby.
We have 2 online.
Mr. Barta, go ahead.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
My name is Edward Barta, that's spelled B-A-R-T-A. I'm a member of the Northern Plains Resource Council, and I speak here today in support of Senate Bill 224. I've had the good fortune to have been born and raised in Montana, and have spent a good chunk of my 75 years living in small towns and cities throughout the state. Perhaps my first experience with Indigenous peoples took place in Edgar, Montana, where I saw the Edgar Wildcats win the 1966 state Class C basketball team with mostly a Native team. This is just a sample of the many deeply felt experiences I have had with Native people during my life growing up and living in Montana. I think most Montanans have had similar experiences and connections, and I believe those experiences have given us better awareness and appreciation of Montana's past and present. In short, Montana's history and culture is an amalgamation of many Indigenous peoples, some who have lived here since ancient history and some who are more recent arrivals. They all have contributed and continue to contribute to Montana's story. I think it is important that we celebrate this fact. Therefore, I urge you to support Senate Bill 224. Thank you for giving me time to share my message, and thank you for your patience listening to all this testimony, and thank you for your good work as state legislators.
Thank you. Next, Terry Cunningham.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and thank you to members of the committee. My name is Terry Cunningham, C-U-N-N-I-N-G-H-A-M. I'm the mayor of Bozeman. I speak today on behalf of the Bozeman City Commission, and I've edited my comments to be brief. The Blackfeet people called the Gallatin Valley the many joined together place, and it's that spirit that guides our activities, events, and discussions on Indigenous Peoples Day in Bozeman. We've chosen to take a broad view of the concept of indigeneity, and we celebrate this holiday in Bozeman. Last year, in a ceremony atop Pete's Hill, I spoke about my family's origin story. Irish and Italian immigrants fleeing poverty and famine to seek a new life in a country where the beacon of freedom shines bright. We all have a story of who we are and where we come from, and Indigenous Peoples Day is a celebration of those origin stories. I ask that you provide a due pass for SB 225. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Any opponents to House Bill or Senate Bill 224? Any opponents? Do we have any opponents online?
No hands raised.
Do we have any informational witnesses? Informational witnesses online?
No hands raised.
Thanks, Ms. Kirby. Questions from the committee? Questions from the committee? Okay, seeing no questions. Senator, would you like to close on your bill?
Well, thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. First off, I want to say, you know, the hearing we had in the Senate was honestly one of the best hearings I've ever had. Our chair even pointed out during the hearing that we already have a shared day in Montana, and you can see in my bill, we have Washington and Lincoln birthday on the same day in Montana right now. But this bill also does change that to President's Day. That was one of the changes that the committee over there wanted to make, and I was okay with that. You know, I think, you know, one example of something that this bill also reminds me of is Miners' Day. When we talk about miners, it's a bill I was excited to celebrate and vote for because, you know, miners they're Italian, they're Native, they're Spanish immigrants, Irish immigrants, German, Norwegian, et cetera, and I just felt that was a powerful thing because it folds us all together, right? It's not just, it's like if you wanted to celebrate the concept of mining, you can do that, but I think it's more than that, right? That's what this bill is too. We have a lot of people here who shared different perspectives, and I really appreciate that because that's what it's about. It's about having, you know, whether you want to learn about the Native communities that were in Montana and there's tribal nations here, or you want to learn Irish, right? Like, and that's what this organization and group has really tried hard to do, is try to make this more and more inclusive, to ask those questions and fold people in so we can be more inclusive and learn about each other. Scottish bagpipers, inviting folks like that to come and be at the event. So really proud of the work. People are putting their money where their mouth is, and they're actually trying to make this something that's representative of all Montana. So, we do have a lot to learn from our neighbors, and I really appreciate that statement because there's a lot, in my mind, I have a lot to learn from my neighbors. I'm a member of a tribe in Montana, but I always appreciate hearing and learning history in Montana and celebrating the different cultures that we have that makes Montana so special, from a lot of our migrant workers who now shape Montana, and our farmers and ranchers community as well. Butte actually passed something similar where they can celebrate, you celebrate what you want on the day. So you can either celebrate Columbus Day or you can celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day. And there's always going to be a strong presence of, Native Montanans, American Indians that are from tribes in Montana, because that's part of our history here in Montana. We're unique in that regard. And so, what we try to do is to find a way to, whether you live in, Ekalaka or you live in, Arlee, we want people to be able to to have these conversations about, looking inward and having these conversations with themselves. And if you don't want to celebrate it, you don't have to. Some people, I was talking to someone in the hallway, and we were talking about, Columbus Day, and that particular individuals, I was like, I had a conversation with someone the other day, and for them, they take the day off and they go and spend time with family, right? That's the way they spend that particular holiday. And so that's what people are going to do in Montana. They're going to celebrate that day, the day they want. I will say that Indigenous Peoples Day really is a testament to our shared history and our values as Montanans. It celebrates the collaborative efforts to steward our land, as we heard, educates us about the profound knowledge and contributions of all of our Montana communities, highlights our common strengths and responsibilities. By honoring this day, we take pride in our past. We foster a deep understanding of all Indigenous identities in Montana and work together to protect our cherished heritage for future generations in the state of Montana. And, this is our 6th time doing this, and I think, our messaging and the way we've approached this, is in a really good way, and I think the Senate saw that and greatly appreciated our approach and trying to make this more of a Montana heritage concept. And so with that, I will close and ask you for a due pass.
Thank you. This closes the hearing on Senate Bill 224. Senator, is the class still out there? Is the class still out there? The class of the students? Can you please call them back in? I'd like to do executive action on this bill. This one.
Madam Chair, is it okay if I stand over here? Just don't want to break decorum, but I want people to be able to sit down. So.
Come on in, find a seat. If there's no seats left, you can stand. Uh-oh. Okay. Well, we have another bill hearing, but I just wanted to do executive action on this bill real quick. And Ms. Gillette, thank you for bringing your students here. I appreciate that. Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I move that Senate Bill 224 be concurred in.
We have to gavel in? Okay. This opens a hearing on executive action on Senate Bill 224. Vice Chair.
Madam Chair, I move that Senate Bill 224 be concurred in.
Is there any discussion? No conceptual amendments. Get your finger off the button. Representative Fayant.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate Senator Morigeau bringing this bill and all the testimony that has changed throughout the 6 sessions that it's been brought forward, and this time really focusing on the value of inclusivity. So I urge a due pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Byrne.
Madam Chair, my only comment is I believe Columbus Day is the precedent. It should Indigenous Peoples Day should precede Columbus Day. It should be reversed on here, but I can bring an amendment on the floor.
Okay. Anyone else? Any other comments? Questions been called. We will do voice vote. That's fine. We'll note that so all those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed vote no. Representative Schubert is a no. Proxies?
Madam Chair, Representative Sutkis and Edwards vote aye by proxy.
Thank you. Okay. The ayes have it. So Senate Bill 224 passes and will go on to the House floor. Congratulations.